All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Tazayin, Daf Yuzayin. I think is today's. So we left off at the bottom. We just did a Mishnah and the bottom of Tesvav Amud Beis, and I'm actually going to go ahead and sort of introduce the kasha. We already did the first teretz, and we're going to then skip a couple lines because we did it already into the second teretz, just to sort of introduce us to what Rabbi Elazar starts talking. So the Mishnah said, I'm just going to start from the Gemara Tesvav Amud Beis. It says, "Me'itani Hashem mu'edes lechol." So it says over there that the shein is muad. So Michlal the bechatzer nizak askina. We're talking about, right? What is shein? Shein is the animal eats the crops. So how do you go ahead and eat the crops, right? If my animal eats the crops, Eddie's crops, how does it eat it? Obviously, it's eating in Eddie's yard. So we must be talking about Michlal the bechatzer nizak askina. We're talking about we're in the damaged part. V'tani behema ein muadis l'shalim kulev al chatzinas l'shalamis. So it says over there, but when it comes to other damages, so he only goes ahead and pays chatzinezek even in the if it does the five abnormal types of damage. Then we're just sort of chazering over the kasha mark on Tesvav Amud Beis in order to introduce ourselves to. So I'm sorry. Yeah. So we didn't really start anything yet. So he says, and whose opinion was that? Who says you pay chatzin nezek? Let's say goring, my animal gores in Eddie's yard. That would be the rabbanan. Right? The abnormal, let's say goring is abnormal damage. So that you only pay chatzin nezek. So the Gemara says, if you look at the same, it says shor hamuad v'shor hamazik b'shus hanizak ve'adam aslan rabbi tarfa. And then it says, any type of damage that's done in the Rishus and Nizak, then you pay, that's considered to be Muad. So that goes like Rabbi Tarfon, who says, right? So we want to know, the ratio sounds like it's going to the Rabbanan, who says that goring in Eddie's yard would be Chatzin Nezek, and the Seifa seems to say that goring in Eddie's yard or any damages in the Rishus and Nizak, you pay full, which is Rabbi Tarfon.
Including Shane and Regal?
Well, Shein Regel, that for sure, right? That for sure is muad, right? But the question is even goring, right? If my animal gores in my animal gores in Rishus Harabim, I only pay chatin nezek. But according to if it gores in your backyard, even if it's a tam, I pay nezek shalim according to Rabbi Tarfon. And they're about to hold no. If that case would be you only pay chatin nezek. So it's a contradiction. So we gave one teretz. We said yes, you know. Huh? Which one? Well, because any animal is muad, right? Any animal is muad in the rishus of the nizak, right? So, which sounds like Rabbi Tarfon, right? So, but the ratio is mashma that you wouldn't go ahead and pay because it's calling it tam. It has three times. So Rabbi Elazar, to answer this question now, this is where we left off. Bottom line, last four words. Rabbi Elazar mishmei the Rav Amar no. Kula Rabbi Tarfon, really, you can say it's all Rabbi Tarfon, right? The sheet of Rabbi Tarfon is, if it causes damage, even if it gores for the first time in the Rishus of the Nizak, I am chayiv to go ahead and pay Nezek Shalom. So how do you understand it? So, Reisha, the Bechatzam Yuchedes the Peiras, Leachamehem, right? So the Reisha, we're really talking about, no, it's not Eddie's yard, the shame occurred. Rather, both of us have, in other words, Eddie is allowed to go ahead and keep his fruits there, but both of us can keep our animals there. Okay? It's a chatzir that payros for one of them, but both of them can go ahead and bring the shore. To the gabe shein, when it comes to shein, habile chatzir and izak. That is Rishus and Izak. And therefore, it's Rishus and Izak. Never, according to Rabbi Tarfon, right? Rishus and Izak, I am chayiv to go ahead and pay Nezek Shalim. The gabe Karen, right? And according to Karen, Havi Rishus Harabim, it's considered Rishus Harabim because we're both allowed to go ahead and bring our animals there, and therefore it's not really Rishus and Izak, and therefore, right? Gabi Karen have a Rishus Harabim, and therefore, since it would be a Rishus Harabim in this case, and therefore it would be pay the half damages, because even according to Rabbi Tarfon, you pay half damages in Rishus Harabim, only in Rishus Nizak you pay Nezek Shalom. So Amar Rav Kana, Amri says Shemai say Kamed Rav Zvid. He says in front of Rav Zvid Medahardia. Amar Li, he says Could you establish the entire Mishnah, i.e., the ratio like Rabbi Tarfon? Haktani says over there, Hashain mu'edis lechol esarila. It says an animal is shane, i.e., chayiv nezek shalem, right? For eating, destroying something that's normal for it to eat, vegetation and stuff. Sarila in shane or lo. It sounds like only things that are fit for it, but not things that are not fit for it. Be Rabbi Tarfon, halma mishuna karen b'chatza nizak nezek shalem shalem. But according to Rabbi Tarfon, right, something that it's not normally eats, it eats your your remote control, or it eats your iPhone, right? According to Rabbi Tarfon, it should be nezik shalim. So elo liyolim rabbanon here. Really, it's the opinion of the rabbanon. It's all the opinion of the rabbanon, and therefore goring in the rishus of the nizak, you only pay chatzin nezak. The chasur mechsur, and really the Mishnah is missing a part of. This is how the Mishnah should read. Chamisha tamim haim. There are 5 types of tam, right, which is mentioned in the Mishnah, right? Hey, v'im hu, and if they did it multiple times, then chamisha samuad, then they turn these 5, kicking and biting and pushing and goring, the chamisha samuad, then those turn into muad. The shein v'regel muadim et chilasan. And when it comes to walking or eating, that is muad from the beginning. The heicha nedusan, and then where are are they muad? The chatzar and nizak. That refers to the chatzar and nizak. So Maskal Ravina in the comment that says later on, shor hamazik b'shusa nizak ketzad. So we say, well, what are you talking about? Later on, it says the shor if the shor hamazik damages the shusa nizak, and then we want to know what is the case of when it goes ahead and causes this damage in the shusa nizak. If this is the scenario that we're talking about, right? In other words, that we're talking about a case of where it occurs in Shuzan Izak, then fine. But if, like you're suggesting, we're not talking about that the first statement is in Shuzan Izak, i.e., the case of the Tam, so my Ketzad. Why you're asking for a description of a case which we're not talking about? So why are you asking about how, at what point, do they become muad if we weren't talking about a case where they did it in the Rishus Nizak? Selam Ravina says, no, Chasuri Mechsa, you have to read like this. Missing a part. Chamisha Tamin Hain. There are 5 cases of tam. Vim Huadu, and if they become muad, they do it multiple times, then Chamisha Sam Muad, then they are muad. The Shein V'Regel Muad with Chilasa. Right? And Shein and Regel is muad from the beginning. V'zehu shor hamuad. And that is what the Torah is referring to. Shor hamuad is referring to Shein v'Regel. The shor hamazi b'shus hanizak. And then when it comes to an animal damaging, right, in the shus hanizak, i.e. the cases of goring and the like, that is machlekes Rabbi Tarfon and Rabban. That's the machlekes of Rabbi Tarfon and Rabban. Right, and then the Mishnah goes on and says there are other types of muad. Similar to this, hazev, va'ari, va'adov, va'habardalis, va'hanamar, va'nachash. Right, that refers to the wolf, the lion, a bear, a bardalis. Right, we'll soon describe that case. A leopard and a snake. Those animals are always muad. Those animals always cause damage.
Bardalis, I think, is a hyena.
We'll see. There's a machlokes in the Gemara what a bardalis is. That's the Gemara, specifically did not mention what it was. Rashi didn't mention. So fine. And Arsko, right. And even though Rashi already learned the Gemara, right, later on, he doesn't, explain it in the Mishnah. Right. So Tani Nami Haki, similarly we learned Chamisha Tamim Hang, there are 5 types of tam, and if they do it multiple times, let's say they gori, Chamisha Samad, and then they're considered to be muad. The Shein V'Regel, and when it comes to Shein V'Regel, right, then those muadim, the chilasam, to eat and to tread upon, that is muad with chilasam. V'zeu shor muad, and this is the shor muad is referring to in the Torah. The shor hamazi, b'shus hanizak, and if an animal goes ahead and pours for the first time in the b'shus hanizak, then machlokes Rabbi Tarfon Rabbanan. Machlokes Rabbi Tarfon Rabbanan. Rabbi Tarfon says nezek sholem, and Rabbanan say chatzi nezek. The yesh muadim acherim. There's other types of muadim acherim kiyetz that are similar to these. In other words, that you're chayiv nezek sholem for the first time. Hazeva Ari Va'adov Va'anamar Va'bardlus Va'nachash. And they're so these wild animals, those are considered to be muad from the beginning. And Ika de Ramula Mirma, and some ask this actually a slightly different version as a kasha. So Tanan, our Mishnah says Kamisha Tamim v'Kamisha Muadim v'Sulaka. There's 5 types of tam and 5 types of muad, and nothing else. I va'ika hazei va'ari va'ado va'namer va'bards va'nachash. What about these wild animals? So Rishani Amaravina Chasur Maxus V'Skapar V'Chikan is how it should say. Kamisha tam, and there are 5 types of tam being muad. Or if they do it multiple times, then Chamishasa muadim, then those are considered to be muad. The Shein Verega Muad Tchilasan and Shein and Muad are considered to be Muad from the get-go. V'zeu Shor HaMuad, and this is referred to Shor Muad Torah. The Shor HaMazik, B'Shus HaNizak, and the Shor of the damage to the B'Shus HaNizak, that's Machlekes Rabbi Tarfon for Rabbanan, and that's the Machlekes with them. The Yesh Muad Macherim, those other have are Muad from there are other types of Muad, and Kiyai Te'el, some to these that you'd be Chai for Nezek Shalom from day one. Right, and these are these types of wild animals. Yeah.
If he eats it, then it's the whole. He has to pay the whole thing.
Which animal? If it eats something that's normal for it to eat, so if it eats something that's normal for it to eat, then he's chayiv nezek shalom. If it eats something abnormal, that's considered to be meshuna. And then, but if it occurs in the rishus of the nizak, that's machlekes rabbanan Rabbi Tarfon. If it's nezek mashuna, you pay chatzi nezek or not, or nezek shalem in the rishus of the nizak. Fine. So we have the second wide line. Below lirvos. So now there was the crouching down, or the for the animal to squat down on top of some sort of utensil or vessel and break it. Right. That is considered to be abnormal mashuna. Just like goring, that was one of the 5, right? Included with biting, pushing, kicking, and goring.
Amen. Jack, you want extra coffee?
I make my own brew.
He's got his actual house.
I make it at home, the actual house. I like.
Omar Rabbi Elazar says Rabbi Elazar. So we're talking about squatting down and crouching down and breaking a vessel. Lo shanu elapachin gedaylim. Only talking about it's abnormal. It's considered a meshuna for something large, a large vase, right? About pachin ketani, about small utensils. Or chayu, that is its normal way, and therefore, since it's its normal way, one would be chayev nezek shalit. So let's say this is support for habehema muad is lahalech kedarka. An animal is muad to go ahead and walk normally. L'shaber l'mayich esa adam. To go ahead and break and to crush a person, a behema, or a kalim, or utensils. So it just says it's normal to go ahead and crush. So one sec, we just said to go ahead and crush and to squat down. It's what's it called? It's mashuna, right? It's something which is abnormal. And over here, it seems to see it's kadarka. So what do you say? So it must be okay. No. Small things are kedarka, right? Larger ones are mashuna. So the Gemara says no. Duma minatzad. Maybe it means on the side. In other words, yes, to squat on top of it, that is not normal, right? But if it's on the side, then maybe that is normal. That's considered to be kedarka. And now we have 2 other versions, slightly different versions of saying what we just said. And ikadam is a different version. Amar Rav Elazar loytei mepachin gedolim hu delav archai. Right? Don't say that only large jugs is normal for him, but small ones is considered to be the derech. Even go ahead and crush small ones is not normal. It's not normal to crush a person, and it's a behemoth as a kalim. So it says that there it is normal to go ahead and crush utensils. So it sounds like maybe crushing small utensils is normal. So maybe that means minatzad. It doesn't mean squatting on top of it. Rather, it means crushing to the side. Maybe that's different than squatting down. And the third version is maybe something else as a kasha. Tanan, it says, and I make sure below lirva, it says in a mishnah, an animal, it's not the derech to go ahead and crush it. We're doing in a brisa that it is normal for it to go ahead to either crush a person or another animal or utensils. And so it says no. Some the small ones, the small items, those there's a derech, but larger ones, then they tend to move around. Fine.
So,
yeah.
In order to be mechayev the animal, you have to actually see the way the animal damaged it, whether it's b'tzad.
So according to Rabbi Elazar, right, tzad is different, right? In other words, that if it's something that it crushed, so it could be. If it's remember, if it's something is orchayu, if it's the normal way, depending how you touch normal way, some might be right. Minat sad is normal, and some versions over here have something which is small is normal, right? Even if it's on top, right? So then you be chayiv nezek shalim. If it's orchayu, if it's abnormal, i.e., maybe it doesn't differentiate between minat sad or that it's something that is large, right? Then he would pay only chatzi nezek. The owner would pay the chatzi nezek. So now let's get into the. Well, we said Adam is mu'al liyolam, right? A person is mu'al liyolam, right? A child isn't chayiv mammons, right? So you're saying to crush a child. I mean the victim. L'chayra not. L'chayra you be chayiv always for Adam, but yeah, right. So, but that means as normal. The question is, what is the question is so. We don't have anywhere where it says it where it's where it's right abnormal to go ahead and crush the person, but over here it seems it's normal to crush a person, and therefore the owner would be chayiv, right? So what is that case there? Maybe it's minat sad, but if it was directly upon, then it would be pater. Yeah, there is a yeah. Depends if it's hungry or not, or something. Yeah. So we're actually going to get very similar gemaras we're going to get to like right now, about a lion pouncing upon its prey. Mm-hmm. So let's first start with the zeva ari v'chulik. So my bardlus, right? Ask what is the bardlus. So Amar Rav Yehuda nafrasa. So it's an nafrasa. Eddie was wrong. Yeah, Eddie was wrong. He said nafrasa. So now Alan's question, which is my question, my nafrasa. Okay, that helps. What does that mean? Amar Rav Yosef doesn't get too much better. Aqua. So it's funny. The reason why, when you learn bardlus, that we don't really have a good definition, is because even after the Gemara goes through it, right, it's still sort of in the air. Which is why now, when you learn the Mishnah again, because remember, right, we're learning the Mishnah after there's Gemara, so you would think the commentators would say, okay, now this is the pshat of the Mishnah, but it doesn't give the pshat of the Mishnah. It's because the Gemara doesn't really have a clear answer to that. So a lot of times, like, oh yeah, this is a famous machlokas, and it comes there. So, but if there's a resolution, then you go back, then there wasn't really a huge difference in understanding. But over here, it remains such a way. So he says, so Rav Yosef says this nafrasa is an apple, right? And at this point, or a unicorn, right? So at this point, right, the Art Scroll throws in now there's different definitions of an appa. Perhaps could be something from a polecat or something from the weasel family. There is a pshat at the end. This, like Eddie said, there was a hyena. Some learn it. So, anyways, so Meisvei, I don't understand the next couple of lines of the Gemara. So you'll see what I'm talking about. So Meisvei, first let's ask this question. The Gemara. So it says, Rav Meir, Aimer. In addition to these animals, in addition to the lions and bears, omai, and all those, af hatzavua, also the tzavua. Add to this list tzavua, and Rabbi Elazar omer af hanachash, even the snake. All right, it will, and even though the snake was included, we'll get to that. So Amar Rav Yosef, and what is this tzavua that we want to add to the list? So appa, that's the appa. So wait, I understand. You had bardalus, which is an appa in the group. And now your Rameir is coming to say, no, even the tzavua, which is an appa. So it's the same thing. We already included it, right? So lakasha kan b'tzavua zachar kan b'tzavua in the keva. One is a male, one is a female. And the Tanya, where do we know that there's to differentiate between the two? Because it says tzavua zachar the achar sheva shanim nasa atlif, right? A tzavua zachar after 7 years becomes a bat. And atlif lachar sheva shanim, right? Maybe some sort of vampire or something, or a tesayin amad aleph. Atlif lachar sheva shanim nasa arpad. It becomes also another type of bat. And arpad lachar sheva shanim nasa kimush becomes a kimush is like a type of thorn. And kimush lachar sheva shanim nasa chocha, right? Then it becomes a choach, right? Then it also some sort of thorn, and choach lachar sheva shanim nasa shade turns into some sort of demon. So, like I said, I'm not sure I understand, but this is always talking about a male one, right? You have to, I think, look at the Marsha for the taich of this Gemara. Now, speaking of which, turning to something else, after 7 years, Shiddur Shel Adam, a spine of a person, Nachash turns into a snake. A person doesn't say modim and bend his spine when he says modim, so then ultimately his spine turns into a snake. Omar Mar. So speaking of bringing a quote we just said, Rav Meir Omer Apat Tzavua and Rebbe Elazar Omer Afanachash, even the snake. Bonan Tanan Rebbe Elazar Omer was mentioning B'nai Tarvus when they're domesticated. Einan Moadim. These are animals. The lion, the cub, right? You go ahead and you go on your YouTube and you see all these Russians with nice pet bears and so on and so forth, right? And even the snake, but a nachash snake, you can't really teach a snake tricks, and therefore it's always considered to be a muad for damage. So why is Rebbe Elazar coming to add snake if snake was already in the list? So the person says, you're right, Tani Nachash. Doesn't say Afa Nachash, just write Nachash. And Amar Shmuel, fine, new statement, 3 lines on the top. Amar Shmuel, Ari, Rishus Harabim, Doras, V'achal Potter. If it goes ahead and it pounces upon its prey and it eats it basically while it's alive, then Potter.
Let's assume that's something owns it, Harry.
Yes, right. Someone has to pay, right? So he is Potter from bringing it, right? And Taraf V'achal Chayiv. And Taraf, but if you, let's say it tears it apart, right? And then it eats it, then he is Chayiv. Then the owner is Chayiv. So what's going on here? So Doras V'achal Potter Kevan Dorachayu Lemidras Havile Kamosha Achla Peres Ivarakos the Havile Shein Rishus Harabim Potter. Because it is the way of an animal to go ahead and basically pounce upon its prey and eat it, basically eat it alive.
But that's kind of a strange thing because
if
you own it and you brought it to Shusha
so that's the big kasha in the sugar, right? So that's the big kasha. In other words, if it's the normal way for it to go ahead and pounce on prey, then I should really be high. But it has the Gemara is compared. It has the attributes. In other words, what we do is we compare to other cases. Has comparison to an animal acting its natural way in the Rishus Harabim, just like an animal which eats that which is in front of it in the Rishus Harabim. And if it goes in the Rishus Harabim and eats something which is in front of it, and if I leave on my payers the Rishus Harabim and an animal eats it, the owner is Pater because that's the normal derech. I should have washed my fruits here. So to over here in this case, since it's the derech, right, you're Pater. And taraf, however, if it tears apart its prey, not to eat. If it tears it apart, right? Taraf, lavar chayu, and therefore that's not the normal derech. So therefore, since something is not the normal derech, therefore one would go ahead and be obligated, just like any other case where I should have, where it acted out, what's it called? It wasn't acting its natural way. So the name of the tarfa lavar chayu. Are you telling me that an animal does not tear it apart? So I vaksiv. So the pasuk says, so it says there, I torif. So it says there, I torif, badei garaisa. It says a lion goes ahead and tears apart an animal for its young cubs. So it says, well, it says in the pasuk, b'shil garaisa. And yes, when it's feeding its young cubs, then it tears it apart for them to go ahead and partake. But if it's for itself, then it's not natural for it to go ahead and tear it apart. It says mechanical baisa, so it goes ahead and it kills its prey for its lioness. So once again, the one says yes, b'shula baisa. This is doing for the lioness, then it tears it apart. But for itself, it will just pounce on and eat it. It says it goes ahead and for its lion's den. Right, it fills it with its prey. In other words, it tears it apart. Then once again, b'shul charav. Right, if yes, it's going to go ahead and bring it to his lion, then ain't echanami. It says over there. Then when it goes ahead and it tear it apart for its layers. So once again, b'shul ma'anaisa. Yes, indeed, like we keep saying, it's for its place. But if it's going to go ahead and eat now, then it's not natural for it to go ahead and tear it apart. If a chaya enters into the chatzer of nizak, tarfa behema achla, it tears apart a behema and it eats it. Right, the achla basar, the shalim nezek shalim. It pays nezek shalim. Why? Because that's the normal way. So if it was abnormal, he wouldn't pay nezek shalim. But over here, he's paying nezek shalim. So,
But it's b'shus and nizak.
right. That's why it's chai. But over here, but we see over here in this case that he be chai for it. He nezek shalim, right? So, but he should be chai nezek shalim if it was abnormal, right? Even the shus and nizak. I mean, according to Tarfon, is, but not according to the Rabbanan.
Okay.
So our answer is Hachamais Kinan Shatarfa Lahaniach. No, it tore it apart because initially the animal was gonna, leave it there, right? It says Ha'achla, but it says it ate it. So it says no, Shanim Achla, right? That changed its mind. First it tore it apart, then it decided to eat it. So God says, Manayadina, how do you know what the animal was thinking? You're thinking it just tore it apart and said, you know what, maybe I'll eat it. If you're furthermore, the Shmuel Nami, we can say that case of Shmuel also. Maybe the case of a Shmuel over there was when the animal tore it apart. It tore it apart not for eating, and then when it ate it, so maybe you can say it's the derech, it's archayu. So Gemara says no, right? So I the Shmuel Nami damahachihu. Maybe the case of Shmuel is like that. Someone of Nachum Bar Yitzchak that's Sadin Katani. No, it's really two different things over there. It says shatarfa laniach. If the animal went inside the shus of the nizak and tore it apart to leave it there, darsav yachla, or pounced on it to eat it, then Mishalemes nezek shalim. Then it goes ahead and pays nezek shalim because that it was the normal way of causing damage. And Ravina Omar ki kamar Shmuel bari targus. Shmuel was saying when he was talking about one that was domesticated. The Aliba de Rabbi Elazar, the Amar Lab Archai, who says that basically it's not its normal way because it was privately it was a domesticated animal, and therefore it was his pet, and therefore it was not the normal way. So if that's the case, the Shmuel was talking about, even the case of when it tears it apart, Ravina is not going Shmuel. Ella Masnisan. He was going in the Brisa. And Kitan Masnisan Bari Tarbus. And the Brisa time I was talking about a lion that was domesticated. That it's not its way. So if that's the case, he should have gone ahead and only been in the Brisa, he should be chayiv to only pay Chatzi Nezek. So Gemara says, no, the reason why he's chayiv is because he already did it 3 times. My hi the Tani lo gabi toloda the shame. If that's the case, that it was muad, so why are you writing it by the toloda of shame? Right? We're comparing to it's the normal way, just like it's the normal way of animal to go ahead and eat fruits in the Shus Rabbim, so too it's normal for this animal to go ahead, the lion to go ahead and tear apart because it's done it 3 times. It should be gabi toloda the Karen by the Mishnah. If we're talking about an animal that really it's abnormal behavior, but it was done 3 times and now it's muad, it shouldn't be written by Shane. It should be written more as in toloda of Karen. So Gemara says kasha, and in Echanami, right? It's a kasha because this is not the case of Shane, which is natural. This is talking about an abnormal behavior, which is done multiple times, which made it a muad, which would be why he's should pay nezek shalem. But the question is, why was it not stated by Karen? So it remains a kasha. And now, the last mission of the first parak, which will, Hashem, finish a couple minutes. So ma bein tam lemuad was there between a tam and a muad el shatam shadam chatinezek that a tam the first time it's a goring pays chatinezek megufo from the animal from the value of the animal that gores muad mishalim nezek shalim min aliyah and muad pays min aliyah. So what does that mean? Min aliyah samai aliyah zak the Gemara. Amar Eliezer b'meula shebenachasav, right? So even from the what's it called? From the best of his nechasim, you should go ahead and pay for it. It says Vayishkav Chizkiyahu im avaysav ekvuru b'mala kivrei b'nei David. So it says over there that Chizkiyahu was built b'mala kivrei David. What does that mean? Amar Eliezer b'mala, what does b'mala mean? Eitzam u'alim shebishpacham. By those who were at the top of the family, Manihu, and who were theirs, David Shlomo. Chizkiyahu, I guess, was buried by David Shlomo. And that says there, Vaikru b'kvaraisav asher kala be'ir David vayishkavei b'mishkav asher malei b'samim v'zinim. It says over there they buried him right in Ir David, and then they did along with him. I guess they put there also besamim and zinim. So my besamim and zinim. So Rabbi Eliezer Aimer zini different types of perfumes. Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani Amar besamim shekol merech ben ba'alidei zima. Right, that if one goes ahead and smells the aroma of the perfume, one will I guess become aroused from such smells. And ki karu sheikha lachdani upachim tamnu l'ragli. So it says over there, which are Tanakh experts here, but it says over there. So Yirmiyahu says, right, when they took him, they tried to go ahead and trap him, right? So they said they went there, they put a pit to go ahead and trap Yirmiyahu. Was time of It means they were chayshid him for being with the zona. They spread rumors that he was with the zona. And Shuvar Rachmani Aimer, right? Shachashtu me'eshesish. They were chayshid him for eshesish. So bishal they suspected him to be with the zona. Because we have another word sheikha, which is used by zona. So over here, right, the pit that they ensnared him with was the accusations of being with zona. Right? So what's going on here, right? Why, what's the shaykhs with the word the shaykh? So there's a auto eshesish minavka michlal zona. What the eshesish is not also it was not reference to a zona. If one was the eshesish and she was mizana, she'd be in a category of a zona. So that's the type of zona we're talking about. And Pishol is a well according to the opinion who says they were chayshim eshesish ha'ina d'chtiv yata shem yadat yes kol tasam alei lamos. Right. So you say Hashem, you see, right, with their words, they're trying to go ahead and kill me. How are they trying to go ahead and kill him? By accusing him of being an Ashes Ish, which is Chayiv Mitzah. But if you use the zona, right, a woman who's not Ashes Ish, that's Stam Zdos, and therefore it does not carry a Misa, my Lamos. What does it mean, Lamos? So rather they threw him in a well, in a pit of like mortar. Right? They threw him there, they tried to physically kill him. And Darash Rava, my Dechsi, what's supposed to mean? You mukhshalim lefenecha beis apcha asebehem. Right? Have those people who are trying to knock me down, right? Have them be in front of you the time, when you're of your anger. So what's going on over here? So Amar Yirmiyah Lifnei Kodesh Baruch Hu Ribono Shel Olam Afilu b'shas she'osin tzedakah, even at times when they're doing good things like giving charity, hechshilam, make them fail. Right, make them stumble. But right, make them fail. Now, let's say they're trying to give tzedakah. Let their tzedakah end up by a person who doesn't need the tzedakah, and therefore they don't have the schar of tzedakah. Right, they're trying to help someone. It turns out, they're helping someone who does not need it, and therefore they don't have, the zchusim to, help them defend because they're trying to go ahead and attack. Fine. And kavod, it says the kavod asula b'maisa. It says over there they had a great kavod in his death. So malamed yeshiva al kivra. Right, they set up a yeshiva by his kever. So pligi bar Rab Nasan Rabbanan is machlokes in Rab Nasan Rabbanan chadama shleisha. One says 3 days. They set it up.
Yeshiva was there for 3 days.
So we know by Shiva there are actually different halachas when it comes to the first 3 days, even though it's it's not part of the Shiva, a little more intense than the rest of Shiva. So some say the yeshiva shut up for 3 days. B'chadam Shiva, one says Shiva, and some say the other opinion was shloshim, 30 days that they set it up. Tana Rabbanan, top line, and this is today's daf. Let's see, 7:15. Okay, 7:20. Go behind.
Okay.
All right, this mayor's not here. Stinging. Yeah, let's save us 35 seconds.
At least 2 minutes.
Huh?
You can say it out loud. You can say it in 2 seconds.
Yeah. So Tana Rabbanan says, "We covered us the Maisa. They didn't come for him. Zeh Chizkiya Melech Yehuda sheyatzu lefanav shloishim v'shisha elef chalutzei kaseh Tiver Rabbi Yehuda." That 36,000 soldiers went with the shoulders revealed. They cut their shirts to show a sign of mourning. For Achav also wasn't such a cover. Rather, they left the Sefer Torah by his kever. They said, so this one who lies here fulfilled that which lies here, i.e. the Sefer Torah. He fulfilled the Sefer Torah. Don't we go ahead and do this now? So Gemara answers, no, we take out the Sefer Torah, but we don't go ahead and lie it there. Or we know we do lie the Sefer Torah, however, we don't say he fulfilled all of this. So I'm a Rabbi Chana, Havi Aznin, Bahadi, Rabbi Yechnan. One time I was going to Rabbi Yechnan. Levi Shel Shmaitzek. I was going to go ahead and ask this question. Kiyavi El Lebeis Akise. So he went inside. I asked him. He was going to be asking the question, or I asked him. But he went inside the bathroom temporarily, so he wasn't able to answer. Vavi Beina Mine Milsa, and so I wanted to go ahead and ask the question. But however, he did not go ahead and answer me. The Mashe Yade until he washed his hands. Then put on his tefillin, and then he made the bracha, the Yehadar, and afterwards Amarlan, Afilu Kiye Amrinan. Even you can say, yes, he did fulfill all this. However, Amrinan Limaid Lo Amrinan, but we don't say that he taught, right? He taught this, he who lies here taught this. So he said limud is great because it brings along Maisa. So limud is great because it brings Maisa. So which is greater? Maisa is greater, right? Because he says, right, the good thing about learning, right, is that you can fulfill. So fulfill obviously is the higher. So what do you mean? We don't say we say he fulfilled, he doesn't learn it, right? Fulfilling it is more important than learning it. When it says right? One is to learn it, to go ahead and do it. Yeah, that's a lower level, right? And that's the one that brings the Maisa. But the highest level is to go ahead and teach it, right? To go ahead and teach it, that's the highest level. So therefore, we can say, right, that they did it, but to teach it, that's the highest level. That is not said. That was said specifically for Chizkiyahu. And Rabbi Yechon supposed to mean Ashreichem Zerei Al Kol Mayim Bashlichei Regel Hashor V'Chomer. Right. So what does the pasuk mean? Is praiseworthy are those who go ahead and they plant by the water, and then Meshachim, and then they set it over the feet of the shore and the Chomer. So what is this pasuk? What is this talking about? This pasuk in Yeshaya. So it says over there, whoever is, and we'll explain how this works. Right. Whoever is involved in Isaac B'Torah Chasadim is Zoich L'Nachla Shnei Shvatim. Will be Zoich to the inheritance of two different Shvatim. What do you mean? So Shnei as the pasuk says, Ashreichem Zarei. It says, praise for those who plant. Bein Zriya El Tzedakah. That's referring to Tzedakah. Shnei Zor Lechem L'Tzedakah V'Kitzul V'Chesed. So it says over there you should plant Tzedakah. So it means that they did Tzedakah, they did charity. They mine by the water, they mine by Torah, and the waters are reference to Torah. Hoi kol tzamei l'chulamayim. Right, you go. Whoever's thirsty, over there is reference to learning. Go ahead and take from the water. Take Torah. So we see that the water is Torah. So if he has Torah and he has tzedakah and chesed, zeichla nachla shei shvatim. Be zeichla to that which was inherited by two shvatim. So zeichla the kilo of Yosef. Be zeichla to the kilo, the canopy, the radiance, the beauty of Yosef. The pasuk says. Ben Praz Yosef Banu Sada Alei right? So it says over there that I guess those who right Praz Yosef, right? Yosef was the charming son, and I guess the daughters that went to go ahead and gaze at him. Right? The Benos were looking at it, he had this beauty. Yosef was considered to be beautiful, so they would go ahead and look at him. So the beauty of him, and the Zeichla Naklas Yisachar. And if you zeicha to the nakla of Yisachar, the Yisachar Chamor Garam. It says over there that I guess the of the wealth of Yisachar, because it says Yisachar Chamor Garam, right? That Yisachar, right? And I guess the targum of that is Asir B'Nechasa, right? From Rashi that he was rich in possessions. And some say what it means is no, your enemy shall fall in front of you like Yosef. Right? So it says over there that I guess with the enemies they will gore the other nations, right? To the edges of the land. And it says, and you'll have knowledge, right? Like the Yisachar, and then there was Bina, there was special understanding, right? Underneath understanding, that's Bina, right? Like Yisachar, who knew, what would happen in time, what will happen with Yisrael. So those are the two things. That one is Isaac and Gumas Chasadim and Tzedakah and Torah. Then he'll be Zaycha to be like Yosef and Yisachar. So Hajalah, Arba, Mazatov, finishing the first parak of Nezikin, first Baba. Right now we continue on through the next parak. Zak the Mishnah. Kate said Haregel, my Mishnah, my parak. Kate said Haregel, Muedis, the So how is an animal? Right, it's regal muedis, so it's for that which causes damage with its feet is muad. So we say, right? So lishbor b'derech halucha, no, just walking, right? We'll say so. B'dafka is not muad, right? So we'll say in other words, it breaks things when it walks. It will go ahead and trample on your crops. It will trample on your things that you leave out. It will just walk naturally. It won't see it and walk around it. That's not what animals do. They just walk straight, right? They walk straight through it, and therefore they don't avoid it. And therefore that's considered to be muad, right? So therefore regel is muad, right? Not like goring. Right, goring is abnormal behavior. Walking, regel is normal behavior, and therefore you're responsible to make sure where your animal walks because it's going to damage. Ha-behema was lahalech kedarka l'shaber, and a behema is also muad to go ahead and to walk and to break things in its path. Haisa mevatas, if it was kicking, osher tzroes matizim mitachas regla. Let's say it was kicking and broke something, or it was walking and it hit pebbles, tzroros, from his feet, broke kalim, then mishalim chatzin nezek. Then in this case, you only pays chatzin nezek because that's not direct. We'll soon see. Actually, we saw before, like grama, but we'll say tzroros is a halach lo mashvisina, right? That we saw earlier. So I'll just it's no longer a surprise. So that tzroros is halach lo mashvisina chatzin nezek. Now, as we know, certain chatzin nezek, we had a question of is goring? Is it a kanas? Is it mammon? Is it compensation? Should he really be responsible for all of it? Is he really responsible for none of it? When it comes to sroros, pebbles, in other words, it comes from its force, right, of the animal walking, and it kicks up, right, stones, and the stone, shoots out, right. You're driving on the expressway, and a pebble comes off a garbage truck, and it breaks your windshield, right. So that's sroros, right. That's sroros, and therefore you pay chatzin nezek. Right. So that's also included in so that's throwers, but that's Rashi points out the shinoi is a talad the karen, right? So therefore he's pay only chatzin nezek. It's just been another example of chatzin nezek we have seen. Now, so if it went in and trampled right upon a clean and broke it, v'nafal al kli yishavro, and then from there it broke another kli. Al rishon mishalim nezek shalim. For the first one, you pay nezek shalim because it walked down and it broke and it walks naturally. But the second one, right, it came from a shard from the kli, which is similar to a pebble flying off. You pay chatzin nezek. And and chickens are more to go and break something in their path. However, just from walking. However, let's say there was a rope or something tied to its foot. Or it was hopping, was shaber, sakalim, broke kalim, that's abnormal, right? It's not normal for something to be tied to it, and therefore the thing tied to it breaks something. That's chatzin nezek. That is not nezek shalim, but that's considered to be chatzin nezek. Fine. Zok the Gemara. Turn the page. All right, we get 10 minutes. Let's see where we go. So I'm Rabbi Rava. Says Rabbi Rava, Hainu regel, Hainu behema. Understand. So he said Ketzel HaRegel Muedes, the Shaber, B'derech Halucha, and then it says HaBehema Muedes, Lahalich Kedarka, the Shaber. So what's the difference between Ketzel HaRegel, right, and Behema Muedes? Isn't that the same case, right? What's going on here? So how do you read the Mishnah? So I'm going to be in a Rava, Haina Regel, Haina Behema. So I'm going to lay, Tana Abais V'Ktani Talabas. No. The regel, the first one over there, the regel is considered to be the av, and the other one is the talad. In other words, so an animal is walking. That is the what's it called? That is the so all right. Regel is the av, right? And I was just looking for Rashi, right? This is Tana Avos. I'm just looking at Rashi for a second. So regel mamish shadarsa b'reglel. Right, the first part is in other words is just one is walking on its own, and the seifa is on toladas of behema. Muedes lahali kadarko l'shaber begufa ubisara v'shol halufa. Right, actually we'll go through this soon. Right, anything on top of the animal, its saddle, its pumbia shemapiv, right? It's a bit, right, or its tail or something from the animal. That's a tolada of the animal that breaks something. It's not the walking of the animal. The walking of the animal is the the things that are on it or its load on, and that is a tolada. So Elamiyat, you're talking about avos and tolados. Excuse me. Elamiyat, save the Hashem Muedes. So understand later on, right? So the Mishnah says that Shane is muad and the behema is muadis. So my avos, my talados tika, right? Where is the muad here, and where is the avos? Shane is eating, right? It's the same thing, right? You can't give the same teretz here. So he says, Shem was my avos, my talados ika. So he says. He answered him sort of jokingly, I already gave you the first teretz. I told you the ratio ones of us and Tolados. Now you give me Pshat of the same. The time am I? I'm Ravashi. So he says, what's he says, no, it's explaining it. So Tana Shane, right? The Chaya Victoni Shane de Behem. It comes to teach you both Shane of Chaya and Shane of Behem. So good guys coming in the Shelach is Biara. So the pasuk says, right over there when it refers to when he sends his Biara. Right, and over there, see behema in chayalo. So the targum of biara is behema. So therefore, maybe I would have only thought behema and not chaya. So kamash malon, right? The chaya b'klal behema. So therefore, we see the chaya b'klal behema. So ihaki, that's gay. So the misne bereisha. It should have said Hashem what is behema. It should have said behema what is because that was the pasuk, and then Shane was learned from it. So no, since there's more chavit, therefore we taught chaya first and then behem. Ihachi reish. No, it's Shane referring to chaya. So ihachi reish and ami. At least ihachi to like siva bereisha. So okay, so then the reisha also don't include regal first, include behema first to teach you the other stuff. So hachi hasha agni bear hasam dividi avos. In the case of the seifa, both the Shane of a chaya and the behema are both avos. So therefore, then you bring the drasha first, right? However, hacha, what are you suggesting to learn behema, the things on top of the animal before the actual regal? Hashavik av v'tani talada, right? Well, you can't go ahead and leave out the av and teach and do the talada first before the av. So that doesn't make sense. Or you boy sema, or you can say that. So you can say iboy sema. Iboy sema. I did the Sadik Meregel since we left off saying Meregel, Pasach Meregel. So therefore, since we left off with Regel, therefore we start with Regel again, and therefore that's the reason why Regel came first, even though really we could have put Behema first. So it says Behema Muades Lahalik Kedarka Ulishaber. So Behema is normal for it to go ahead and walk naturally and to break. So Kate and House of Behema Shanikla Salakatzer Hanizak, Behema goes ahead and enters the Rishus of the Nizak. Zika. The gufa and cause damage to its body, or der chilucha v'sara, right? Or while it's walking with its hair, der chilucha ba'eichef, or while it's walking with its saddle, shaleha, or v'shalev shalev, right? The saddle or anything else on top of the animal, or bepumbia shapia, or the bit in its mouth, of a zug shabatara, or a bell around its neck, v'chana maso, or a donkey with a float on top of it, mishale, nezek shalim. He goes ahead and pays nezek shalim. In this case, because this is natural for it to cause damage, not only the animal itself, but even things that are on it. If it bumps into something with its saddle, then the owner is chayiv if it occurs in the rishus of the nizak. And so it says pebbles or a pig, right? That was it was in the garbage. The hazy causes damage. B'shalim nezek shalim. Haze nezek shalim. So hazy it causes damage. Pshit, that's obvious. If it goes ahead and causes if it goes ahead and purposely breaks a window, of course you're chayiv. So ema hitis.
Normal animal.
Yeah, a regular animal. It's not muad yet. So Ella Ema Hitis Vehazik rather says no, maybe the pig was going ahead and moving around in the mud, and then it caused damage. Mishalim Nezik Shalom. Then he pays Nezik Shalom. So when I said Sraras, Man Chashemai, who's talking about Sraras? So he says no. Chasur Machsav Achitani. No, it's Mr. President. Does say Sraras Kirachayu Chati Nezik. Sraros, if it's naturally that pebbles come up, then he pays Chati Nezik. The Chazisha Naiver Ba'ashba and the pig was digging around in the mud, Behatis, and then caused pebbles to fly up. Behizik, Mishalim Chatinag, pays Chatinazak. And Sum Chosoimer, Tzroris, Vechazir, Shayanaiver, Bashma, Behatis, Behizik, Mishalim Nazak Shalim. Sumchos argues with Tzroris. He says, no, Tzroris, case of pebbles, and also case of pig, moving around in the mud, which is like pebbles, right? And Tzroris, that, according to Sumchos, is Nazak Shalim. You pay full damages, not like the other. Rather, he argues with the Rabban. And Tanarabanan Tarnagailim Shayu. So you have the chickens Shayu Mafrichim and Makal they can find place later. Vashimar Kalim broke Kalim the Kanfayim with their wings, and obviously bumped into them. Mishali Nezik Shalim. Then you pay full Nezik. However, if they broke something, Baruch Shebe Kanfayim, if they broke something with the wind from their wings, then Mishlam Chatzinex. Then they only go ahead and pay half Nezik, right? Because that's like Tsuras. That's not their actual doing damage. That's like the force from what they're normally doing causing damage. And so Nezek Shalim. So because once again it says Nezek Shalim. And similarly, we have another Bryce Tani Idach, Tani Golim Shayu, Mahadsin, Agabi Isa. They were going ahead and they were like, let's say like they were flying whatever, hopping around on top of dough, Agabi Peros, right, or on fruits, Vitinfo, Nikro, and then they went ahead and they ruined the fruits or the food. Then Mishal Nezek Shalim, because that's the normal day. They actually cause damage, therefore you have to go ahead and pay full damages. However, halu afar or tzroas. However, if they were jumping around, whatever it is, they cause dirt to cause damage or pebbles. Then misham chatzinezek. Then you go ahead and pay chatzinezek. And sumcha soimer. Sumcha says no. Nezek shalom. As we've seen once again, Sumcha says no. You pay full nezek. And Tani Dach another price says Tani go shayim afriach b'makal l'makal. If it was flying from place to place, v'yasser ruach b'tachas kadva, and then wind from the flapping came from them. The shibra sekalim broke some utensils. Mishalim chatzinezek. You pay chatzinezek. So stam like Rabbanan who pay you chatzinezek as opposed to Sumchus who says nezek shalim. So I'm a Rava bish lam Sumchus saver kaisa kegufo. I understand Sumchus who says anything that comes from the kayach of the animal, from the wind of its wings, which is the kayach of the animal, you pay as if the animal bumped it itself. Kegufo dami. Ella Rabbanan, but according to Rabbanan, e kegufo dami kuli nezek by the shalim. If it's force, it's like from its body, then you should pay everything. The lav, but if not, then kagufa dami. Then it's like if you lack kagufa dami, chatzi nezek, not below the sham. But if it's not from itself, you shouldn't pay it at all. So the marava liyela kagufa dami really it's like it's goof. The chatzi nezek tsuras hilchasa kamir. But that's halacha l'moshe Sinai, and therefore really you should pay all of it. But the Torah was showed mercy and says you only have to go ahead and pay for half. And Amar Rabba kol shebezav tamei b'nezikin b'shalim nezek shalim. Anything that is zav, right? Even though a zav. Person can go ahead and sit on one mattress and he's not making direct contact. But if it's sitting on the mattress and there's 20 different mattresses, he would be matame something that it was be connected to or something that's also leaning on that. He would be matame that. So anything, so says Rabbi, anything that the zav would be matame by nezik and mishalim nezik shalim, then it's considered to be direct damage and therefore you pay nezik shalim. And kol shebezav tahor, but nezik and mishalim chatzin nezik. But if it would be tahor, if it doesn't come in contact with, right, then he be chatzinezek. So I've Rabba Tzoros. What's he going to teach us? Tzoros. So in other words, like, right, pebbles, right? Go ahead and knock a window. He didn't make any physical contact, but he, you chayv chatzinezek. He come and teach us that. It says lo Rabba Egla Meshechas Bikaron Kamashman. He's coming to teach us basically a wagon, right? If an animal was pulling a wagon. And then the wagon caused damage, right? Then we say that the wagon you're also chayiv chatzinezek. So Kamash Malon and Tiny Kabas in the Rabba. We have actually a Bryce and Safar Rabba. An animal is muad to go ahead and damage anything b'derech chilucha. Kates at house. Behemosh shenichnas al chatzer. Hanizak. The animal entered in the chatzer. Hanizak. The zigan caused damage begufa with its body. Derech chilucha or besar derech chilucha, or if it's a hair on its body, be'oikav shavlev, be'shaliv shaleh, or its saddle. Or any other, anything that's wearing, or donkey that which is on it, the agla, and also a wagon or vagola, mashachas has the car. There's a pulling wagon. Meshalim nezek shalim. Such a case, he would go ahead and pay nezek shalim. All right, we'll stop here at the time of Rabbanan. That is in 4 minutes. So tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem, we will pick up from here. Everyone have a wonderful day.